What is up, everybody? Good news. I am back from TIFF. We are talking about the Toronto International Film Festival. I'm repping it right now. Very excited to recap my experience for the 8 days that I was gone, and nobody I would rather do that with than the lovely Liz Seiko.
Hello. I had major FOMO when you were there.
You were missed, obviously. Everyone
really
at the network was missed. Shout out to everybody. And thank you to everybody that gave me well wishes on my journey there and had already. I've actually so grateful for the amount of people that were interested in the fact that I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I posted this on my personal Instagram, but this has been like my dream to go to this festival since I was like 14 years old. And I'm going to be 30 this year. So big shout out to that. And just like being there was a crazy thing in general. And I have a lot I want to talk about with it. So
and we're going to get into
let's get into it. I know that there's like you said, we've both been talking about this festival. I feel like since Culture Wave began, and it was one where we both kind of like mutually were like, this is the festival we have to get to at some point. And we're going to get back. We're going to be back there next year and the year after that. And we're going to conquer. But it was unbelievable. I saw, I went to 21 screenings in 7 days.
It's crazy.
It was a lot. Crazy. It was a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot for other people that go to the festival. Yeah. I was there so the festival, it takes place this year. It took place from the 4th until the 14th. I had flown in a day early, so I was there. I was seeing screenings. What I really did, I guess it was 7 days because 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Yeah. So I watched movies from the 4th to the 10th. And then I flew back home on the 11th. Yeah. So that's wild.
Yeah. And so, okay. So why don't we start with like, tell us kind of what the prep was like. How did you get tickets once you were approved as press? Were you fully planned before ahead of like what you were going to see? Or was it more of like, you have to get there and then you just kind of figure it out as you go?
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, who aren't in the entertainment industry in general, for when we get to cover some of these festivals, they all operate differently. They're all on a different scale.
Yeah.
The Toronto International Film Festival is one of the most well-coordinated events I've ever been in at my life. However, there is a lot of anxiety that goes into the planning for it.
Of course.
Because there were 304 projects scheduled over a 10-day period. Different. That's not even screenings. No. That's 304 separate short films, feature films, television premieres, world premieres, talks, conversations, industry press conferences, so many things.
And you want to see as much as possible.
Of course. Yeah. And like I fell under, I was hoping to go to 25 screenings. I went to 21, but I'm still proud of what I was able to accomplish. But yeah, so a lot of it was shout out to Brian Sudfield, who had been there the last couple of years. And he's been on this podcast before. And he was a huge help to me kind of planning this out and understanding what it was that I was getting myself into. Yeah. Because so for other festivals we've covered, like, for example, like the lovely people we know at Indie Street in Red Bank, which is local to us, that's something where they just have a very basic, like, shorter schedule. And we're lucky to get these press all access passes that we go and we can see as much as we want. Now, with this festival, there are things called press and industry screenings, which are for people like myself who got to go as a member of press for Culture Wave, where I can go to any and all of those screenings, but a lot of them overlap. Sometimes you're not able to see everything you want to see in one day. And so the cool thing about what TIFF does is that they also issue 10 additional tickets to you. And these could be for anything. So this could be for world premieres. So for example, like I know one of the first things I had posted was I got to go to the world premiere of a film that's coming out in a few weeks, maybe a month, called Critic, which is Black Bear is like a smaller distributor. They were always a production company. Now they're going into distribution, and it's the first film they're going to distribute. It stars Sydney Sweeney, Ben Foster's in it, Chad L. Coleman, Katie O'Brien. And I got to go to the world premiere of that movie. So let's say that the theater sits 450 people. I was one of the first 450 people to see this movie in the entire world.
That's awesome.
Which was crazy. So that's a really cool aspect of it. But the big thing with the ticketing, which I know was a big complaint of a lot of people, for me being a first timer, it's like I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
But so when I had gone into the system and talked to somebody from TIFF about it, I'm just picking whatever fits my schedule based on what I want to see. So initially I had a slate of 10 movies, and some of them would be like overlapping times. So like I wouldn't be able to go to both things.
Yeah.
And they had this exchange system essentially. So like when the festival starts, or I believe it was September 1st when I made it is when the festival starts on the 4th. Every day I can go in and I can exchange a ticket. So like initially I had a ticket to the world premiere of a film called Hedda that's coming out. It's directed by Nia DaCosta and stars Tessa Thompson. But I had gotten rid of that ticket so that I was able to get a ticket for the world's premiere of Black Rabbit, which is now on Netflix. But I got to see it before anybody else had seen it, the first 2 episodes of that. So like there were certain things where like I was just kind of picking things up as I go. And there are some films that like you get word of mouth on the ground. This is such an interesting thing, by the way, because if you're in the film Twitter space, it's like some things where, or just film and social media, where like, I don't know if you feel this way, but like there's certain times where it's like, I'm not really that interested in a movie based on reading a synopsis or looking at a cast. And then you hear all these unbelievable things and you're like, well, like the energy is so palpable with this film that I have to go see it. Do you get that vibe? Like sometimes, especially around like festivals?
Yeah. I mean, even like talking like just our team here, like there's plenty of times that I'm like, oh, like I don't really want to see this. Like I'll take a seat back. But then you guys start being like, no, Liz, like this, you got to go see it. And then it like makes you want to go see it. But I mean, that's also just the whole film industry. I think
true.
Is that word of mouth is the ultimate PR. The ultimate PR for any film is if you can get people talking about your movie, you are going to sell more tickets versus having the critics like raving about it. You need people talking about it first.
Yeah, definitely. But so there were a few films that I saw on the ground that initially, like there was one film in particular. I had a ticket to the premiere and I exchanged it at some point. I think I exchanged it for one of the conversations I went to, which is with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And then I winded up still getting a ticket to another screening of it because I had heard such great things. And later on in this video, when we get into my top 5, it made my top 5.
Oh.
So it's a film, and it was a film that like I literally didn't know anything about going into the festival.
Wow.
And then I saw it and I was like, wow, this movie is like very distinct and very singular. And it's something that's like had stuck with me since I left the festival.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I love it. All right, so why don't we then get into your top 5 films?
Okay, you want to jump right into it?
I say let's just get back into that, like the actual films that you saw, and then we can kind of branch out a little bit.
Okay,
more.
Yeah. So I have the list on my phone.
Yeah, what are the top 5?
So here's the craziest. How do you want this? You want this 5 through 1, or you want this 1 through 5?
Let's do 5 through 1.
Okay.
5 being
my the lowest of my top 5.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, it is the one I just brought up.
Oh, perfect.
Good
wow.
transition, Liz. Wow. This is why you're so good at your job. So it's a film called Tuner. And
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, so Daniel Rohr was the director, and he had previously he's known for a lot of documentary work. He was nominated, I don't know if he wanted the Academy Awards, but he directed a film called Naval Knee that was a huge hit in terms of documentary filmmaking either last year or the year before that. And so this was his feature narrative debut, which was also a crazy thing. This is a film that I really hope gets wider distribution. I'm not sure if they have a distributor, if they're still seeking distribution, but Leo Woodall, who is probably best known for The White Lotus and also a Netflix show called One Day, he is the lead, and he plays this piano tuner who gets wrapped up in some shady shit. And he's doing it out of the kindness of trying to help his mentor, who is sick in the hospital, and his mentor is played by Dustin Hoffman. And they're the two lead. Dustin Hoffman's more of a side character, but Leo's the lead, and Havana Rose Liu is his love interest in the film as well. This movie caught me by surprise so much, like tenfold. Because it's one of those films where it's like it's a smaller thing. It doesn't have a larger cast. It has a very interesting idea, but it's like, all right, is it just a novelty because it's an idea?
Yeah.
This movie, there were so many inspirations, and he talked about it so much. It feels like Whiplash. It feels like Sound of Metal, which is one of my favorite films of the last 10 years. And and it deals a lot into the audio mixing, and the audio design in this film is some of the best I've ever heard. The editing does feel like a breakneck pace, similar to Edgar Wright, but it also has the vibe of a Safdie Brothers movie. And so it has like all of my favorite things with the mixture of implementing music and the importance of that, and these younger actors getting a chance to shine. And I don't know if Leo Woodall has ever been better. And Havana Rose Liu is also terrific in as a supporting role. I think that Leo is like deserving of an Academy Award nomination. I just don't think he's going to get it because I think the film is too small.
Okay.
But it's a fantastic movie, and I think everybody should see it. So that's my number 5.
Okay.
My number 4 is a film called The Secret Agent, which is a Brazilian movie. It actually just got the Brazil just selected it as their nomination for Best International Feature. And it stars Wagner Moura, who a lot of people will probably know best for playing Pablo Escobar in Narcos. This is like this 2.5-hour epic true story about this guy who is in hiding and evading this larger force that you don't really know about until later in the movie. The only thing that doesn't make this movie like at the absolute top for me is that it's a very long movie.
It's 2 hours.
It's 2.5 hours just about. And I had said this to you guys in the Culture Wave group chat when I was away, but this was the third movie out of the first 3 films that I saw that were all in different languages. So I read subtitles for 7 hours straight, which I do watch films with subtitles on, but it's a whole different animal when you're sitting there and like you can't even understand the language that you're watching. So, but I do think that he is 100% deserving of an Oscar nomination. I can't talk a lot about the movie without giving so much away.
Yep, that's fine.
I do think it's one of those films that is going to be at that level of it can gain. The weird thing with this year's Oscars ahead of time is that, like, in recent years, like we've had things like Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of Interest, the Palme d'Or went to, it was just an accident. Like there's this clamoring for international and foreign language movies. I just don't know if this is going to break into that because there's so many other ones, including another one that's in my top 3.
Oh,
so little sidebar, but that is number 4. Number 3 is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Now this movie was one that lived up to the hype for me. I know it didn't for some other people. It was a little bit more divisive, I think, at Venice, which is right before TIFF. But if you know Guillermo del Toro, you know that he is another filmmaker that is very much of his own ilk, and he has his own style. And Frankenstein was his passion project since he was a child, and it shows in this movie. I am not the biggest Jacob Elordi fan, but he is unbelievable in this movie.
Hell yeah.
He's unbelievable in this movie. And Brian, who I had referenced before, we were talking about it after I had seen the film. And knowing that Andrew Garfield, who is one of my favorite actors, was initially supposed to play Frankenstein, it makes no sense to me. After
really?
seeing Elordi's performance and how he was able to do it with the physicality and with the voice, and it's crazy to me because Elordi was brought into the movie, I believe, 3 weeks before shooting, and he's the best part of it, and the movie's terrific. But even in terms of acting, it's Elordi and everybody else.
Is it really?
It is.
Wow.
And I think Oscar Isaac is still very good in the film. Mia Goth does some things that, and I like her, but she does some things that she's a little bit more contained in a good way in this movie. But man, Jacob Elordi is just doing things that you're like, wow, I didn't know you had this in you. And so it's made me more excited for Wuthering Heights.
Nice.
And I will be very surprised if this doesn't get a lot of technical nominations because the production design is phenomenal. The costume design is phenomenal. And Guillermo directs the shit out of that movie. So that is my number 3. It is a Netflix movie, by the way.
Yeah, November 7th.
My number 2 is another Netflix movie. And it was another one that I was excited to see it, but I didn't understand how much it would shatter me as an audience member. It was the only film I cried during, and it was a movie called Train Dreams. Now, this movie, it played at another film festival earlier in the year. It's by Clint Bentley. I went to the North American, I believe it was the North American premiere, maybe, or maybe the Canadian premiere of this movie. So I also got to see a Q&A afterwards with the director. with the writer who is one of the co-writers from Sing Sing, and a lot of the stars of the film, which was Joel Edgerton, Felicity Jones, William H. Macy, and Kerry Condon. So great actors, a lot of actors that I believe don't always get their shine, you know? And man, this movie is, I'm going to explain what it is, and people are probably going to be like, this sounds boring, but you need to see this movie. And it's based on a novella by a guy named Dennis Johnson. And Joel Edgerton plays a lodger, I believe, and a railroad worker. And he deals with this unforeseen tragedy that happens, and it's the ramifications of dealing with that and how he's able to live his life and keep going after that. It's heartbreaking. It's some of the best cinematography of the year.
Wow.
And I don't know. Like I said, it's a hard movie to explain because it's so atmospheric, and it feels like it's like almost. It was weird. It was like I said, it was like a slice of like Americana. Like it just felt like it was a movie that you could just be like, man, like simpler times, and like what an interesting perspective of still understanding the pain of what loss can do to a human, no matter what time period you're in.
Yeah.
And so it was a heartbreaking movie, and it shattered me, but it was unbelievable. That was my number 2.
Fun.
My number 1 is the craziest thing because it was the first movie I saw at the festival. So through 21 screenings, my favorite film of the festival was still the first one I saw, which was Sentimental Value.
Tell us about it.
Sentimental Value is a Swedish feature that is going to be distributed by Neon. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it comes out November 7th. And
it does, yes.
Renate Rensby, who, for big fans of The Worst Person in the World,
I love that movie.
she is the lead character in this. And it's dealing a lot with the loss of her mother, dealing with not being sort of seen by her father, who is played tremendously by Stellan Skarsgård. And if he doesn't win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, I will be shocked.
Wow.
He is unbelievable in the movie. And now I'm going to need your help on this because she's a Swedish actress who I had not seen previously. The actress that plays Renate's sister in the movie.
Inga Lilias?
Inga Lilias?
I think is how you pronounce it. I also could be butchering it.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of things online because Elle Fanning is in this movie.
Yeah.
She's a great actress. And she's been in the category of supporting actress, and Inga has not been getting her flowers. But boy, does Inga deserve her flowers.
Wow.
Because she is going toe-to-toe and doing such a fantastic job in this movie. It's a Joachim Trier film, and it's another one that just deals with trauma and grief in a way that I had not seen before. And it's a big movie. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Some of it is in English. Some of it is in Swedish. It also has some really great humor in it, which you wouldn't think. But that's what I love in these serious films, is that you can make light of certain situations and relationships that you have. And it goes back to the authenticity of relationships, no matter how hard.
Yeah.
So Sentimental Value would be one of my 210s of the year thus far.
Wow. What's the other one?
Sinners.
Okay.
Which I love. And Train Dreams also might get a 10 from me. But Sentimental Value is just like a smidge above Train Dreams for me. And I do think it's going to be a Best Picture nominee. I would be very surprised if it was not.
Hearing and like seeing, I'm very excited to see that film. But just from like the whispers of like the early viewers, I think it's one of the front runners.
Yeah, I would say it's probably going to be in that top 4 by the time we get to Oscar season. It's going to be one of the ones that's definitely
that people are like, yep, that's definitely in there.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the for me coming out of the festival, that's a front runner. One of the other front runners, which is not my top 5, and if you were watching this video and you went to TIFF, I'm sure you're screaming in the comments, was a movie called Hamnet.
Okay.
Which was Chloe Zhao's new movie.
Yep.
And I only wanted to bring this up because it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie, because it certainly is not a bad film. It probably features maybe the most powerful standout performance of the year, though, with Jessie Buckley. And so that's another one where it's like, for me, it's like if I came out of this festival saying a few things, like Sentimental Value is getting a Best Picture nomination, and Jessie Buckley this is big, and I'm gonna say it. I don't care. Based on where I'm at right now, Jessie Buckley's winning the Oscar.
Jeez.
I don't think that there's another.
Jeez.
I don't think there's another sense of a performance this year that would be able to evoke what she's able to do with that character. I mean, there was. I went to I went to the press screening for this in a theater with 550 seats, and they had to kick people out because there were too many people. So it was the only screening that I had that happened to me the whole weekend. And you could hear the sniffling in the crowd, and you could feel the tenseness of the moment. And it's a little over grief to me at points.
Okay.
But
that's your like gripe with it.
Yeah, but I'm like in the minority with that film. Like I think everybody else absolutely adored that movie. And so yeah, my biggest takeaway with that is just that Jessie Buckley is probably going to win Best Lead Actress at the Oscars.
All right.
Yeah.
Are there any other like definite noms that like are sticking out to you that you would think are going to be thrown into the category?
So there were two performances that going into the festival were like my biggest I guess question marks, right? And a lot of people have been speculating, and they both actually have to deal with combat sports, so I think it's interesting, which is an arena I know a little bit about. It is Christie, which I talked a little bit about the premiere.
Yes.
Because Sydney Sweeney, though she's a terrific actress, hasn't done a lot of kind of testing her limits, I don't think.
She has showed no range.
And she's going to probably get a nomination for this film,
okay.
I would say. I think that...
do you think worthy? Like, do you think she deserves a nomination?
I do.
Or do you think she's just going to get one because it's...
No, I do.
Okay.
I think that she showcases something in this film that we haven't seen from her before. There's a physicality to her that we definitely haven't seen. She kind of pushes herself to the limit in terms of that. Also, she plays the character throughout the whole lifespan, which is always a very interesting thing for me. So she plays her at, I believe it's age 16 when the film starts, all the way until she gets to her 30s. And you do see it evolve over time. But yeah, I do think that she's going to sneak in. I don't know if she's going to be like a front runner for the award, but it was a crowd pleaser. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
The world premiere of the movie was a big standout.
Okay.
And a lot of people really praised her performance. The only thing with that movie in general is that I think it's a little bloated. I think it's a little long, and there were scenes that they could have probably cut out. They do a lot of the typical genre boxing montages that I didn't think we needed. Now, the other one for me is the one that I was really anticipating, and I had to make sure I went and saw it because I'm a wrestling fan.
Yes.
Which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the upcoming Smashing Machine. Now, this is a movie that is nothing like you think it's going to be.
Okay.
So let's start there, right? I don't want to give a lot away, but if you're thinking about a typical biopic, you're not getting that with this movie. And I do think that there are moments within the film, not many, but there are moments where you're like, oh, that's The Rock. However, there are other moments that he's doing things in this film that I was frankly surprised by that he was pulling off. Emily Blunt, I think, may probably get a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Right. She doesn't have as much to do, but there's some subtle things. Like, so The Rock Dwayne Johnson plays Mark Kerr, who is an MMA fighter who deals with drug addiction and marital issues, relationship issues with his partner, played by Emily Blunt. And there's a moment in the film where he is kind of he's using. That's how I'll say it. He's using. And it's one of like the most accurate portrayals I feel like I've ever seen on screen of somebody that's high on drugs. Wow. And a lot of people were saying like, what a crazy thing. And it might be partly because he had been surrounded by that his whole life, being in athletics, and his father being on steroids and things. And I was pleasantly surprised with the way he was in this movie. I think that some people didn't like it as much as I did because the style is very different than a typical biopic. Okay. It's almost filmed like documentary style. And I think it's different and it's innovative. But I do think that Dwayne's going to get a nomination. And I'm just curious on how the Safdie war is going to go, because you have conflicting films with Benny Benny's Smashing Machine trying to get Dwayne a nomination, basically, and then we have Josh's Marty Supreme at the end of the year with Timothée Chalamet. So how fun would that be if they both end up in the Best Lead Actor
That'd be crazy.
nomination? It would be crazy.
It would be shocking, but it would be fun. It would be fun to see
agree.
them.
It'd be a fun race.
Okay, since we now kind of have like talked about the ones that like stood out to you.
Yeah.
What were the disappointments? Any that like really you were hyped for that truly just dropped the ball?
So
or maybe there weren't any.
There was one, and it wasn't one that I really had super high on my list, but I had seen a previous movie from the filmmaker that I really enjoyed, and it was one of those movies last year that surprised me. Like it was an example of a film that, like, reading the log line, I was like, I have no interest in seeing this movie. And then I saw it and I was like, wow, this movie is really fucking good. That movie was Conclave.
Oh.
Edward Berger's Conclave. Edward Berger's next film is a Netflix movie that is coming out. I believe it's next month. It's called Ballad of a Small Player. And it is starring Colin Farrell, and Tilda Swinton is also in a supporting role. Now, there are elements of this movie that do work, but largely for me, it is a giant head fuck. And it's one of those movies where I kind of walked out being like, what did I just watch? And it didn't work. The ideas didn't necessarily work. I think there are some technical aspects of the movie that still are really great. The production design, I believe they're in Japan, I believe, for the film. And the setting is really interesting, and it's Colin does a great job in the movie. But the movie as a whole, I just was hoping for more. And I wasn't the only one to say that coming out of the film. So I think it was the biggest disappointment for Edward Berger coming off of Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front, which I believe both of them were best picture nominees. So it's like coming off of that, and then this is what he does next. It's something that it just didn't hit the mark for me necessarily.
Like you were just expecting more. Yeah.
And then there was another movie that I had been chasing, just like following the development of it for a long time, and it just kind of, but it's not even going to be an Oscar movie. It was a film called And Sons that has these great actors in it: Bill Nighy, Noah Jupe, Johnny Flynn, George McKay, Imelda Staunton, like great performers and a great idea that just didn't work. It was something where it was like this heady sci-fi familial thing that I thought was going to be better, and it just didn't work for me.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like out of 21 films, only 2 of them, not even being like bad, just not meeting your expectations, I actually think is pretty good.
It is good. I will say this: there were a few movies that were bad, but I'm not gonna spend time shitting on these films.
Rip them apart.
No, but there were a couple of movies that I would not recommend. But again, out of a 21 screenings, I would say 19 of them I would see them again.
Wow.
So it's something where I would be open to and like I said, there's so many things I missed out on that I still wanted to see.
That was my next question. What were like the big ones that you missed out that you were really hoping to see?
The big one is the upcoming Wake Up Dead Man, the Knives Out 3, which hits Netflix in December. I tried to score a ticket. They were expensive, people, so I didn't go ahead and buy one for the premiere because they were selling them on resale for like $350. And sorry,
oh my god,
I'm not going to be spending that much on a movie ticket, as much as I love our audience. So that was a big one that I was because I've heard such great things about it. Rental Family, which people are saying might get Brendan Fraser another Oscar nomination. A very feel good movie, like think Ted Lasso the movie in terms of like the emotional aspect of it and just good vibe. And then there was a movie that it didn't get the best reception, but I was curious based on not only who was in it but also just the story of it. Was a movie called Sacrifice that had Chris Evans, Anya Taylor-Joy, and your girl Charlie XCX. So, and Charlie had another movie at the festival that I didn't get to see, Eruptia, that got distribution. So people seem to really enjoy that. And that Cut Queen, it's like an hour and 10 minutes.
Hell yeah.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
She knows what's up.
She knows what's up. So yeah, no, I'm very lucky, and then I got to see a couple television premieres. I already talked a little bit about Black Rabbit, which is out on Netflix now, and then as of this recording, I saw the premiere episode of The Lowdown, which is the new series from Sterling Harjo, who did Reservation Dogs. But we're recording this on Monday the 22nd. It premieres Tuesday the 23rd, so it's probably out at this point already.
Nice.
And Ethan Hawke was there, so that was cool.
That's cool.
That was cool to see him and Sterling.
That was
present
cool.
The series, yeah.
Well, DJ, do you have
Liz.
any other final things that from TIFF that were just like incredible that like you need to talk, like even just the festival vibes, the people?
Yeah, I want to. So here's me being preachy to the camera. For somebody who grew up loving film and then getting to a point midway through my life being a teenager and trying to understand what the community of film lovers is and what I think a lot of us here at Culture Wave really cultivate and try to talk about our passion for it. It is like a beacon and a community that you can't describe other than just being there. And it was so much so I called you on the phone and I told you this.
I know.
That like there are performers there, like professional actors and what people will call celebrities that are just there to see movies. And they're just there to take in other people's work. Maybe this will get back to him. Maybe it won't. Jacob Anderson, who was in a film that I saw at the festival that I loved called Bad Apples. I saw him the day before that, co-starring in a movie with Saoirse Ronan. And then the next morning, I'm at the Smashing Machine press and industry screening, and he just gets in line and he goes and sees the movie amongst the press. And it's that kind of thing that I can't explain. You know, it's something where it's like, we don't get that all the time. But at the end of the day, remembering that the people that are putting their effort and their energy into these films, at the end of the day, they are just fans like we are. And so that was my biggest takeaway, is that this festival, and a lot of the people that were there that were attending couldn't stop talking about how much they loved the festival.
Wow.
And so it was an energy that I can't explain. I just have to kind of be in awe of and be excited, and hopefully that we get another opportunity to go back to TIFF, because I'd love to go back and see even more movies next year. We're aiming for 30. Let's go for 30.
Do it. Let's do
that.
it.
But yeah, it was an incredible experience, and I'm so glad I got to do it. So.
I know. I'm so happy for you. Like it was great. I wish we could have been there, but next year we're coming. The wave's coming.
In full force. The whole Culture Wave is coming.
I'm sure we'll be covering more things post TIFF, but I think this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Thank you for asking me the questions. Definitely let me know in the comments. Do you guys? I think I'm going to do a full ranking of all the things that I saw and let you guys know a little bit more about them. We're also going to do more full reviews for when they come wider for audiences, like Smashing Machine. I know we're going to be covering definitely. Hamnet, I'm sure we're going to be covering closer to award season. I want everybody at the network to see Train Dreams and Sentimental Value, so hopefully everybody does. But yeah, if you guys were at TIFF, let us know in the comments what were some of your favorite screenings that you attended, some of the things that you wish you had a chance to see, reviews that you want from some of the films or television series that I've discussed that you guys want to see. I'll definitely do my best to get that out there. And very quick sidebar. Part of the reason I didn't get a lot of reviews up when I was there was because my laptop broke day one of the festival. But guess what, guys? We're back.
We're back.
It's all good. So there's going to be tons of more TIFF coverage for you guys in the coming weeks. And Liz, thank you for talking to me about it.
Of course.
It was a great experience. Yeah, absolutely. Follow us on social media if you guys can. All that stuff is below me in the video. It's also in our YouTube description. And we'll see you guys next time. I'm Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Liz Seiko.
Peace out, everybody.
This is The Culture.